Welcome back to Ducks Morning Brew Friday edition, last one of the week, a preview edition because we got the Ducks versus Flames tonight. Probably the toughest game of the week so far, I'd say. I mean, obviously two big matchups against the Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights, but the way the Flames are playing this year, they are right now, before Edmonton plays any games, the top team in the Pacific Division. And arguably one of the top teams in the National Hockey League too. I mean, the record speaks for itself. 14-4-5, one of the best defensive team in the league in terms of goals against average this year. Top 5 power play, top 5 penalty kill, and top 10 offense. So they are a dangerous team that is fully healthy right now. So it should be a fun matchup tonight. It's always a spirited affair whenever we go to Calgary or whenever the Flames come to Honda Center, and obviously the Flames will be in Anaheim tonight, so that streak no longer exists, the winning streak for Anaheim against Calgary and Honda Center. But hey, it's time to start a new one, so let's see how that game goes. So we're going to look a little bit ahead at that and some of the matchups tonight. We're going to talk about Mason McTavish and the fact that he just continues to keep scoring and keep putting up insane stat lines in the OHL since his return. 3 games in, he's got 5 goals on the season. We'll break that down a little bit more. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about the interesting, or I guess the most surprising players on the Ducks roster so far this year and how they've been doing. And for me, those two are Isac Lundestrom and Sonny Milano. So we'll take a little bit of a look at those guys. But let's start off with the game tonight against the Calgary Flames. 7 p.m. Pacific start, 10 p.m. Eastern. It is first versus third in the Pacific Division. I don't think you would ever thought, 1, that Calgary would be first, and 2, that Anaheim would be third, 20 plus games into the season here. But it's the way it is, and the Flames are heading in off a back-to-back. They beat the Kings 3-2 last night in regulation. So they will be a little bit tired, and Jacob Markstrom will not be in the net. He was in the net in the last night, and a great performance, a 40-save performance against the Kings. So the Ducks will be facing Dan Vladar, who came over from Boston in the offseason, has been just as good. He's riding 2 back-to-back shutouts, one against Ottawa and one against his former team in Boston. He's got a 4-0-1 record, 2 shutouts, and a .946 save percentage. So it won't be an easy night just because Jacob Markstrom's not playing tonight. But it's always fun. Like I said in the preview a little bit, is these games against the Flames, they're always fun affairs. They're always physical games. And I think for Zegras, is this his first time against the Flames? I'm not sure. I can't remember back to last season, but it might be. But anyway, it's going to be a tough one. Johnny Gaudreau's been on fire this year, 26 points in 23 games. Elias Lindholm has 23 in 23, and then obviously Matthew Tkachuk has 20 in 23, and he always seems to make something happen in a negative way against the Ducks, and a la Corey Perry when we used to go against them, and what he used to do against the Flames. Same with Ryan Kessler. So a bit of a different look now for both teams than the heyday when we used to see this rivalry a little bit higher. The Flames are now the better team, but it will be fun. I mean, it's another home game tonight. A lot of teams are now on their Western road trips. We saw obviously Toronto come through, Ottawa come through, and now Calgary come through. So I think for the Ducks, if they play the way they did against Vegas and LA early and can close out the game better than they did in both of those games, I think they'll be okay. I think that's the big thing here, is this is a team that doesn't allow a lot of goals, whereas the Kings and the Golden Knights are in the bottom half of the league in terms of goals against average. The Kings are a little bit better, but I think that was just off the hot start that they had. But this is a team that does not allow a lot of goals. It's probably not going to be a 6-5 game, and I think the Ducks have to go into that understanding they need to get off to a hot start, and they need to really get things going early and take control of the pace of play and jump out on a team that is coming off a tough physical game against the Kings last night, and really get on them early, set the pace of play, and continue to close out the game for the rest of the matchup. So it'll be a fun one. Like I said, I mean, I'm rambling a bit here, but I always love to see the Flames come to town. I think it brings the best out of both teams. So we'll really see what the Ducks are made of tonight against a really, really tough team. All right, now we got to talk about Mason McTavish. This won't be the only time we talked about him. We talked about him on the last show, too, because him and Olin Zellweger were named to Team Canada's selection camp for the World Juniors. but he is on a dominant run right now for the Peterborough Petes since returning. We talked about the hat trick he had in his return. He scored a goal in the game after that, and then last night another goal. So he's got 5 goals, at least one in each game in the 3 games he's had since returning. Not only that, he's averaging just over 7 shots a game. Had 10 in the first game, 5 in the second, and 7 last night. And he's dominating the faceoff dot, which you would hope from a guy his size and with his experience going back to junior. But he's, I think, won 43 of 64, so it's around 67% of his draws since returning. So he really is doing everything that you would hope. And he still has time to adjust, right? Like, he has to get back. This is the first time in 2 years since he's gone back to junior. And I know it's easier to adjust down than it is to adjust up, but the kid played pro second division in Switzerland last year, and then obviously with the Ducks and the Gulls a little bit this year. So it is a bit of an adjustment. He's just going to keep getting better and better as the season goes on. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him at the World Junior Championship. I think the way he's playing, and the way he always kind of had a leadership role in Hockey Canada, I think he's going to be a very important part of Team Canada for this upcoming tournament. And as much as I'd love to see him still with the Ducks, I think I've started to think this is kind of the best decision they could have made for him to go back and play center and just have another year of development without any of the pressures of the way the Ducks are playing this year. I think that's probably best for him, and I think we'll see the best out of McTavish next year and the year after because of this decision. And as well, you don't have to loan him from your team to send him to the World Junior Championships. He'll just be leaving from Peterborough to go there, so it's a little bit of an easier transition that way than having to leave Anaheim midway through after burning the entry-level contract to go play at the World Juniors for a good month and a half. So I'm very, very happy with the way he started. He's playing exactly the way you would want from a player getting sent back to junior. Didn't take it negatively, took it as a step in his development. Just gone back and did what they asked from him, and that's play great hockey and play the way we know Mason McTavish can, and be an impactful player for the Petes. So I think eventually he still does get traded, and this is obviously a good start for that. That will likely be after the World Juniors. We'll see that move get made. But in the meantime, he's just building his trade value, and I'm sure the Petes are loving it because they're going to get a pretty nice package for this kid when he does eventually get moved. But let's move into our last topic here. I do want to talk about Isac Lundestrom and Sonny Milano. More so just the 2 biggest surprises for the Ducks this season. Isac Lundestrom has 6 goals and 13 points in 24 games, and Sonny Milano has 5 goals and 16 points in 19 games. When you look at the Ducks' top scoring charts right now, if you had to show me this at the beginning of the season, I think it's easy to pick those guys as the 2 surprises to be that high up with that many points so far. And Milano was probably the biggest surprise, just because I remember a podcast we did in our season preview talking about how Milano and Volkov are guys that could be borderline AHL guys, and one of them's likely going to make it, and whoever does has to take the reins and really show they belong to stick around. And obviously it didn't pan out for Volkov. I think he's now playing in Russia. But Milano, when he was given the opportunity coming up from San Diego, he took it and he ran with it. I mean, he had a few really good games. I don't think he was playing with Zegras to start. I'd have to go back and check. But just really energetic play. And then the moment him and Zegras started to develop some chemistry, it's just been, he hasn't looked back at this point, and almost a point per game player right now. And that line with Zegras, Raquel, and Milano has been exceptional over the last 5, 6, 7 games that they've been together. It's been unbelievable what they've been able to do. Easily the Ducks' best offensive line, no question about it. And we'll see. That will need to happen tonight against the Flames. But the crazy thing about that line is they've gone against some really tough opposition, and every time they've come out on top, whether it be Corsi for percentage, expected goals, high danger chances, scoring chances for, even just on ice goals for and against, they've always been on top of pretty much every opposition line they've gone against, which has been impressive. But you're going against one of the best defensive teams in the league tonight, so that's going to be a good measuring stick for these guys, I think, to see, they definitely are for real, but where they can stack up against some of the real elite defensive teams in this league. And then Isac Lundestrom has quietly turned into like the Sammy Paulson, the really elite shutdown center on this team. So it's been a nice transition for him. Him and Sam Steele both took those 1-year qualifying offer deals. They accepted their qualifying offers. This is a kind of a prove-it season for them. And while Steele hasn't really excelled and done probably what he would have wanted after accepting that contract, Isac Lundestrom has really taken on this third line center role and run with it. And not only has he just been a great defensive option, he's become the Ducks shutdown. When they have a lead late in the game, it's him, Grant, Silverberg who get thrown out there, and he's the center on that line. Can switch in with Grant if Grant is going to take the faceoffs. And he's been a real good, valuable player. That way, shorthanded, he has 2 shorthanded goals this year, so he's been great on the penalty kill. And then just chipping in every now and then with the odd point or the odd goal. And he's just got this ability to surprise you offensively, which is why he has 13 points in 24 games and on pace for around like a 40 to 45 point year. That's great. I mean, that is huge improvement from Isac Lundestrom. And he's got 3 goals in his last 4 games right now, so it's been great to see these surprises. I mean, all across the board. These are the 2 most surprising players in general, but Terry's unbelievable start is surprising. The resurgence of Getzlav, I know we expected Zegras to do what he's doing, but just like the confidence and plays he's willing to make out there has been great. And I think Shattenkirk offensively has been a lot closer to what they expected of him, and Fowler's been really good. And all these guys have just kind of stepped up this year, and it's why the Ducks are 13-8-3 at this point, and why they're above 500 team and 3rd in the Pacific Division. It's all these guys taking some steps forward. Yes, there are some guys that have been kind of left behind in Steele and Comtois early, but a lot of that is likely explained from the injury. But it has been all around a really great season for some of these guys, and I'm very excited from what I've seen from Isac Lundestrom and Sonny Milano. So hopefully they do well tonight. I know Milano's gonna have the edge on Lundestrom in terms of point production tonight, just playing with Zegras and Milano. Or Zegras and Raquel, I mean. But Lundestrom will he always just kind of finds a way to chip in, and I really like the fit he has with Jakob Silverberg. No matter who is on their left wing, I think those two have just kind of really gelled together and have a similar skill set to what we've seen work so well for Jakob Silverberg over the last couple seasons. But that's going to do it for this episode. Last one of the week. Hope you guys enjoy the game tonight and have a great weekend. We will be back this weekend with a weekly show to make up for, well, not only to make up for the one we missed last week, but just to actually do a weekly show. So we're working on scheduling that, seeing who's available for that show. But we'll be breaking down some of the stuff we've talked about on here, as well as the last couple weeks of games and the way the Ducks have been playing. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But as always, thanks for coming out, guys, and we'll see you back here on Monday morning.